Psychotherapy. Yep.
Psychotherapy. I would have to find a specific therapist who do that,
Yes.
right? You're lucky that your therapist was already doing that. We're planning to start doing that. So
Yes.
what would be the process for someone who wants to start doing that? They just look up on Google, like how easy it is to to find this. Well, I would assume first you need to you need to know for sure that you have PTSD, right? I think a lot of people don't even know that they don't have the diagnosis that they have PTSD.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the very first thing is to get yourself in a therapeutic relationship. The hallmarks of PTSD are a hypervigilance, an intense fear that's really unfounded. Your brain knows that that fear is not, nothing's really ever going to happen, but your body feels like you're constantly being chased by some wild animal. Your body's reactions don't match the reality that's in front of you. Very often, suicidal thoughts are a symptom of PTSD. Not talking about what is causing the PTSD. Like, I would never talk about the fear, not talking about your childhood, not talking about maybe in battle something happened, or if you were unfortunately very like attacked, like not talking about it is also another really strong sign. But the first thing that I recommend for anybody is to get in a therapeutic relationship. Psychedelics for mental health are not turnkey. They are much faster than just plain talk therapy. I say talk therapy is like the horse and buggy on the country road, and psychedelics with therapy are kind of like the zippy sports car. But that sports car is not going to go anywhere if you don't have therapeutic help. So the very first thing is get a therapeutic relationship, get a diagnosis, know what you're dealing with, because the other side is that people who have personality disorders and people who have a history of schizophrenia in their families or themselves should 1,000% stay away from psychedelics. So you really don't want to just jump into this. You want to make sure you have a proper diagnosis. Then you can start networking the same way that you would maybe want to find a pickleball coach, or you would want to find an expert chef to teach you how to do something. The first thing you do is you go where those people are, and that's different networking groups. And every social media platform, you can start to find those groups. You can also do internet searches for psychedelic assisted therapy. In the US right now, ketamine therapy is legal. That's usually for depression. So if you start to network with some of those folks, it's not uncommon that they know other folks who are doing different medicines. And because this is not regulated, as a consumer, you should not be going into this in any sort of crisis state, because you need to interview who you want to work with and treat them as a medical professional. So all those questions you would ask a doctor if you're going in for surgery. What are your credentials? How long have you been practicing? Can I talk to a prior patient? Where is this going to happen? All those questions that are normal for a medical procedure, those are the questions you should be ready to ask. And if you're in a crisis state, you're not even going to really hear the answers. You're just going to be like, I need a solution. I need a solution. And that is the wrong state to be looking for this kind of therapy.
I'm sorry. I was drinking water. So
I should have talked a little longer. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So from what I can see, one does not replace the other. They complement each other.
1,000%. This is not replacing a therapist. Very often, if you are in a trauma state, you're going to need a therapist to help you through some really tough emotions.
All right. Yeah. Oof. And so how different, how would you describe yourself after those before and after those 3 sessions? Like, how much was the transformation?
Huge. I went from, before the PTSD attack, I was big tech. I was working at Microsoft. I had a boyfriend. All the bills were getting paid. The pets were being fed. I was in a relationship. Everything looked like it was okay. The panic attack hit, And I thought that all of that could go away in a month. I was going to be living in my car in a month, and all of the planning and all of the plan Bs were not going to work. And when you're in a constant state of fear and you can't see a way to feel safe, that makes you start to think there's no real reason to continue existing. And that's why a lot of veterans with PTSD, it's on average, the statistics vary, but anywhere from 10 to 20 veteran suicides a day, because PTSD takes hope. It takes hope away. It takes away the ability to feel joy, because you're just in a constant state of fear and lack of control. And so after that 1 year, I was no longer suicidal. I knew that there was a future, and I had the capacity to start feeling joy. I had the capacity for it. I can't say I was full of joy or anything of that sort, but I had the capacity to kind of laugh at things again. What I like to say is that year for me took care of like the capital T traumas, or the incredibly debilitating trauma. I continued, like, and that's where I wrote a memoir about that year, and I stopped the memoir at the end of that third journey, because technically I no longer qualified for a PTSD diagnosis. But I would be disingenuous if I said to folks that my mental health journey was at an end. I mean, I grew up 19 years of neglect and physical abuse. So I have continued to unwind my trauma in the subsequent years. But the difference is that I was no longer suicidal. I saw a future, and I saw that it was worth continuing to unwind that trauma. So I hope that helps explain this. I always really want to make it clear to people, it's not turnkey. And if you put in the work, you can make incredible strides and choose to live your life in a different way, not fueled by fear.
Wow, that's wonderful, and I can see how much people, like, why so many people are reluctant to accept that those powerful drugs can help you. Because imagine you just come to someone you very know, just say, hey, you're suicidal, like, you just take ecstasy to help you, like. It sounds like crazy, but when you put it that way, like in a clinical setting, assisted, like, those drugs are powerful for a reason. And like any powerful tool, if you use it in the correct way, it can bring
Yes.
huge benefits, right? So with that said, I would like to explore a little bit the difference between using, let's take MDMA, for example, in a clinical setting compared to someone who just goes to a rave.